Oh, work is done, and we still want to see Lavelle's meltdown, but I don't know if we're actually going to get to it this session. I'm thinking there's going to be other people, and then it's going to be him. But even if so, that means we get closer to a meltdown,
Yeah.
and I'm very curious about it. Meltdowns are like some of my favorite
I hope
parts
he
of this.
cries like hair dye, and it's just like tears of rainbows. And his flower cries too.
Oh man, that would be great. The flower crying? Why not?
I don't know, I'm just coming up with crap now.
Court is back in session for the trial of Davian Tenma. Apollo Justice, defense team leader, is ready, Your Honor. Athena Sykes, assistant defender, is ready too, Your Honor. Jesu Pre... As chipper as ever, I see, and in French, no less. In the prosecution?
I don't know what to make of him.
Very well, then. By the way, I asked Detective Fulbright to provide sturdier shackles today. There will be no more of your funny business this time, Prosecutor Blackwill. Now your opening statement, if you would. I believe it's standard procedure for the prosecution to handle it. Looks like the judge is really bringing it today. He probably realized how Blackwill played him. That was one mean game, if Simon says. Yeah, His Honor has to fight to defend His Honor today. Your baldness. Oh dear. It's plain to see that you've always dreamed of delivering an epic opening statement. I have? I don't know if I'd say that. Why, of course you have. I saw it in your eyes the last time you gave the opening statement. That was the look of one who yearns deeply for the thrill of an epic opening statement. For decades now, you have been watching opening statements from your bench. They were the crown jewels of the court, the one thing you could not possess. The crown jewels of the court? Now, at long last, they are within your grasp. How could you possibly refuse? Oh, so you don't mind if I do it, then? I'll make a special exception, just this once. Here we go again. Yep, more of Blackwell's mind games. Well, in that case, I think I might go ahead and make the opening statement myself. Ahem. In yesterday's session, we learned the shocking truth that the victim Alderman Rex Cubey was the Amazing Ninetales. We also learned that the Amazing Ninetales was a key figure in the yokai craze and anti-merger protests.
Looking over in the upper right-hand corner, he's almost pulling a 619. Like, he's doing something weird.
I don't know if that's a 619. That looks more like a... Well, it would be a drop kick if he fell, but it looks more just like a 360 kick.
I think he has his head in his hands, or in his legs.
Oh, and he's about to flip him over.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I don't know. I guess that's closer to maybe a Frankensteiner?
Okay.
Or Hurricane Rana? Which are also, by the way, Frankenstein, I mean, they're not exclusively luchador, but you will see a lot of luchadors like Rey Mysterio do that.
Okay.
The more you know. It was further revealed that the secret identity, Mayor Davian Tenma murdered him. The fact that the crime took place in a tightly locked room was also brought to light. The only people in that tightly locked room were the defendant and victim. The defense proposed the existence of a hypothetical third party, but further investigation revealed no proof of a third party who had escaped the room. Ergo, we must conclude that the evidence against the defendant is well conclusive. Eek! Did I say something wrong? That was quite astonishing. You've truly outdone yourself this time. Oh, one more thing to boast about to my grandchild. Well, this was not an unexpected turn of events. Now then, it seems the prosecution has called a new witness to testify. The inexplicable yokai evidence left at the scene of the crime, well, does that not demand some sort of explanation? The feathers and tracks weren't those left by the mayor while he was possessed. That was but an act to protect his daughter. Oh, yes, of course, I expected as much. Wait, did he actually believe the mayor's award-winning performance? His daughter was the one who planted the yokai evidence. Ergo, the true identity of the yokai in the manor was the manor's maid, Jinxie Tenma. The prosecution is engaging in mere conjecture. Would you care for some witness testimony, then? For I am ready to prove that the little scamp is the one behind the Tenmataro farce. Witness testimony? I'll bet he means Filch and that creep LaBelle. Very well, then. Bailiff, would you bring in the first witness? So he's been trained, we know that. Mr. Filch, you made quite the hasty exit yesterday. See that it doesn't happen again today? Been known for my hasty retreat since I was a kid. Bit of a trademark of mine. Indeed, you managed to give a total of 5 bailiffs the slip. Like those amateurs could ever damn me. Yipes! Perhaps we should shackle you by the neck. That would keep you in place. Yipes, no, please, I'm liable to rip my own head off if I start running. Your statement, now. Yes, sir, Mr. Blackhead, sir. He may be at a hasty retreat, but there's no escaping Prosecutor Blackwell. Yeah, Blackwell doesn't strike me as the give-up-easy type. Now then, Mr. Filch, your testimony, please. Specifically, the true nature of the yokai you saw in the manor shortly after the crime. Quite curious what he's gonna say. Tenmataro's really that little maid gal, ain't no doubt about it. I mean, the true Tenmataro I saw was just a little thing about her size. But the little runt had a big old staff. I seen her when she came into the foyer. Betcha she stole it from the Forbidden Chamber after stumbling on the crime scene. She was going to use it to wallop me on account of my fierce reputation. I just know it. I got some ideas with that one. Oh, Tenmataro was short in stature, and that's because it was Miss Jinxie Tenma all along? You betcha. Besides, all the rest in the manor were way taller than her. Feigning height is but an easy thing. But a big ox like the defendant could never pass for short. What if the Tenmataro impersonator was walking on their knees? Wearing no knee walking, I seen it myself. Then perhaps that yokai really was Miss Tenma after all. All monsters are naught but tricks, either of the mind or the cheap parlor variety. So you're saying she created an illusion like one of those magical eye things? Precisely, human senses are easily deceived. Take the fellow in the cell next to me. Each night he cries and screams about some ghost he thinks he sees. But in truth, it was simply the janitor. Ho ho ho, Prosecutor Blackwell just gave up the ghost, literally. The janitor's deathly complexion and all-white attire are no doubt partially to blame. Then in the fact that he constantly mutters about taking vengeance for this or that. That actually sounds like a real ghost to me. The defense may now cross-examine the witness. Alright. Let's see. I don't think we're going to get anything from this, because he's talking about why it's her. So let's, I guess, start pressing. I do have an idea later, but I don't want to rush it. I think that you got a good look at how tall the Tenmataro impersonator was? Hey, you betcha. I got a habit of sizing people up. I can even give you a primer on how to pull it off. All under the table match. I got a knack for figuring out where people's pockets are and how much money they have. I size them real good before I relieve them of their valuables. He just admitted to being a pickpocket right here in court. Does the witness hold that this Tenmataro entered the foyer? Darn right I do. But the little runt had a big old staff. I seen her when she came into the foyer. Press?
It's the statement after this that I think is important. Right here.
Yeah.
Because he shouldn't know it came from this chamber because no one should have been in there.
No one should have been in there, and, what was the other thing? She couldn't have gone in without the key.
Right.
So, let's press this one. I suppose you mean to say that Jinxie Tenma entered the Forbidden Chamber to get one. Well, I ain't never seen a staff like that in the manor, so it had to be the Forbidden Chamber. Oh, really? The stench of LaBelle is thick in the air today. Jinxie entered the Forbidden Chamber after the incident. Then she took the staff and tried to cover up her actions by pretending to be Tenmataro. I guess that's what Filch is trying to say. Could Jinxie have even entered the Forbidden Chamber if she wanted to? There was one thing I was wondering about. Why did the yokai have a staff in the first place? Well, I've got my hunches about that. Let's press just to press. Wallop you, and why would the so-called yokai want to do that? That little maid gal never did like me. She always hightails it when I come round, or sticks these weird papers on my noggin. She probably thinks of him as the dreaded Tanuki monster of Kyobi Manor or something. We need to prove that Jinxie isn't Tenmataro, but I have no idea how we're going to do that. All we have to do is prove that it was impossible for Jinxie to turn into Tenmataro, and that might be easier than you think. Really? Now's our chance. Our chance to expose the real Tenmataro for all to see. So, let's go back to this one, because this is the same one I was thinking of. What does it say for the key? Only one of its kind that the mayor took from the killer and swallowed. I think this is it. So let's try it.
Objection!
Yes, indeed. It would seem that Tenmataro was in fact not this innocent little girl. Huh? How do you figure that? You claim the Tenmataro you saw had one of those staves from the Forbidden Chamber? But it would have been impossible for Miss Tenma to get a hold of one. Care to elaborate, Mr. Justice? The mayor swallowed this key shortly after the murder. He wanted to keep the killer out of the Forbidden Chamber. What's this? This key was deep in the mayor's stomach when Miss Tenma discovered the crime scene. So you see, it would have been impossible for her to get into the Forbidden Chamber. In short, the Tenmataro seen holding that staff could not have been Jinxie Tenma. Ah! Arr! What? But then who does the defense believe was impersonating Tenmataro? Our Tenmataro impersonator is none other than Mayor Tenma's aide. Such accusations beg evidence. Aside from his ghastly appearance, can you prove he is the yokai we seek? Yes, in fact, I can.
You called him ghastly.
Very well, let's see where the defense is going with this. Mr. Justice, please show us proof as to the true identity of the Tenmataro impersonator. I think it might be this. Yeah, because proves he was in there.
Take that!
We found this hand cream in the Forbidden Chamber, and we know that whoever was Tenmataro took one of the staves out of there. In short, I believe whoever this hand cream belongs to is the yokai impersonator we're looking for. Huh, but Mr. Justice, how do you propose to identify the hand cream's owner? I'm glad you asked, Your Honor. The defense requests a fingerprint analysis on this piece of evidence. It might tell us who it belongs to. Interesting. So you expect to find the yokai's prints there. Very well, I hereby call a short recess while we wait for the fingerprint results. No need for that, Your Baldness. We have the prints of everyone at the manor that day. You called Prosecutor Blackquill? Could anyone be more whipped? Fulbright, analyze this for prints. You have 3 minutes. Your wish is my command.
What's with 3 minutes?
What?
What's with his 3-minute commands?
I don't know. To speed things up? Very well then, I guess we'll just wait right here. How long does taking prints actually take?
A lot longer than 3 minutes.
It would seem the fingerprint analysis is complete. What did the results show? What in the world? They're Flora and LaBelle's prints, aren't they? This is absurd. Prosecutor Blackquill? I'm not going to like this, am I? Don't tell me. They're Tenmataro's prints. Fingerprint analysis has revealed that the prints belong to... Who is it going to be? Because I guess it's not going to be LaBelle. Phineas Filch.
Objection!
Wait, what? What? That's his objection? That Mr. LaBelle wasn't the one who entered the Forbidden Chamber? Why, you tricksy little tanuki. Explain yourself now. Sure, them prints are mine. I mean, I did pilfer that hand cream from Mr. LaBelle after all. So you're the one who entered the Forbidden Chamber. So what if I did? Got a problem with it? Yikes. You fool of a Tanuki. Order, order. Mr. Justice, care to explain what this could mean? Excellent question. The fact that Mr. Filch was in the Forbidden Chamber... Wait a second. Does this mean the Tenmataro holding that staff was Phineas Filch? Yikes! Another cat out of the bag! Mr. Filch is Tenmataro? I guess that makes sense. I don't understand. Does this mean Mr. Filch is the real killer? The witness will explain himself this instant.
Or he's just the decoy.
Yeah, I think he's a decoy because the real killer's doing other things while everyone's distracted kind of thing. Or something along those lines. Begging your pardon, your honorship, but I was just doing what the alderman told me. He wanted me to be Tenmataro in the village exorcism ritual. Oh, you mean that event at the Nine Tails Vale Festival. So that was you inside the Tenmataro costume. Yep, and after the event, I went to watch that pro wrestling program. But it bored me to tears on account of the wrestlers being complete jobbers. So he didn't actually watch the entire wrestling match. That's when I looked at the Tenmataro costume and got a great idea. Nobody can tell it's me while I'm wearing it. And because of them superstitions, no matter what I do, the villages won't say a word. In other words, you use the superstitions to effectively render yourself invisible. Why did you want to enter the Forbidden Chamber in the first place? Because of the treasure there. Thought that was my big chance to sneak on in and nab it. Treasure? Only the greatest get-rich-quick scheme in the universe. Or the planet, whatever. He went in there not knowing his grandfather had already pilfered it. Guess that's one tale that didn't get passed down from grandpappy to grandson. Wait, how exactly did you get into the Forbidden Chamber? There was a meeting in the Fox Chamber that day. Plus, the mayor swallowed the only key that could open the Forbidden Chamber's door. You couldn't have possibly gotten in. I got through the air vent in the foyer. The vent's left of the alderman's picture. I went on in and made a nice little hole. Used that to get into the air duct that leads to the Forbidden Chamber, I did. You what? But how's that even possible? Wait a sec. Remember that air vent in the Forbidden Chamber? So Mr. Filch found a way to get into that air duct. And that's how he got from the foyer vent to the Forbidden Chamber vent. So Tenmataro was nothing more than a cat burglar, or rather a Tanuki burglar, and we're back to being without anyone to charge for the alderman's murder. Looks like our so-called yokai is nothing more than one big troublemaker. Tell me, Mr. Filch, what did you do after fleeing to the foyer? I got out of the costume right quick. Would have just caused trouble at that point. And where is that costume now? Heck if I know. And it ain't my fault if you never find it. The police searched every nook and cranny. No yokai costume was left in that manor. What if it was tossed outside the manor? Ah.
The staff, didn't they find the staff down the cliff?
Yeah. No way. But maybe, just maybe. That's why there was a flying Tenmataro, because it was thrown out. The defense seems to have hit upon an idea. Well, go on, Mr. Justice. Okay, here's what I think. Mr. Filch, did you get rid of the costume here? The open window?
Yeah.
Take that! Did you toss it out the window? Because that would certainly explain why it didn't turn up inside the manor. You think I tossed it out the window? That costume cost me a pretty penny. Why would I go do something like that? I can think of a few reasons. Any bright ideas, Apollo? Well, assuming the costume really was tossed out the window, the next question would be, what happened to it after that? And if I'm right, I might have just the thing to prove what happened to the costume. Phineas Filch, I have just the evidence for you. You do? Why is he so happy about that? This evidence proves you got rid of your Tenmataro costume through the window.
Newspaper flying.
Yeah, this is it. Take that! Ah, that's Tenmataro flying through the sky? And just how does that prove Mr. Filch threw his costume out the window? It's quite simple. That's not Tenma Taro in the photo. It's the costume Mr. Filch threw out. Aw, that's crazy talk. You ain't serious, are ya? There's a steep cliff right outside the foyer window, meaning the manor is pretty high up. The costume flew through the air after it was tossed out. That's when the photo was taken. In other words, the photo of Tenma Taro really was a flight of fancy. What? Yikes! Oh my, so there really never was a yokai. Aw, I can't keep any of them cats bagged. Can I still file a claim for the lost costume? This more than proves the defense's position. Jinxie Tenma had nothing to do with staging the yokai sighting. Care to raise any objections, Prosecutor Blackquill? You're gonna say humph? None whatsoever. I'll deal with that Trixie Tanuki after I've dealt with this case. We did it. Good going. Now all we have to do is make Flora and LaBelle take the stand. Sheathing the sword a bit early, are we not? Huh? Nothing has been proven beyond a doubt. Take this tricksy little Tanuki, for instance. How do you suppose he was able to exit the Forbidden Chamber? Probably the same way he got in, through the chamber's air vent. Nah, he's too small. And what are the feathers and tracks at the scene of the crime? They would suggest that the Tanuki exited through the chamber door, not the air vent. But the Forbidden Chamber doesn't open from the inside. So what you're saying makes no sense, right? Someone on the outside opened the door for you, isn't that right? Yep, that's right, Mr. Blackjack. The door has suddenly sprung right open. Sprung right open? Who was on the other side? Didn't get a good look on account of the sudden glare. Just how the reflection from my head blinds fellow moviegoers emerging from the dark. That's when I snatched that staff and made my daring escape. And then the little maid gal spotted me as I hightailed it down the hall. That means the Forbidden Chamber wasn't open until after the crime was discovered. But wait, we still don't know who opened it. Maybe there really was a third person in the Fox Chamber. Well, you little Tanuki, when the Forbidden Chamber opened, did you see the accused passed out there? Nope, only one there was the alderman, and he was dead as a doornail. Huh, if the accused wasn't there, what do you suppose he was up to? Uh-oh, I don't like where this is going. Ah, don't tell me. Plainly, the only one who could have opened the Forbidden Chamber was the accused Damien Tenma. Arrgh. Wait a second, there had to be somebody else besides Mayor Tenma there. Really? And who might that be? Oh, well, that would be... It seems our feisty little lass has forgotten the most important thing, evidence. I didn't forget. I was just testing your attention to details. Miss Sykes, you can't prove your point without proof of some sort. It's a proven fact. Sorry, guess I put my foot in my mouth again. No, Athena, we're definitely onto something here. We are? Think about it. If Filch was stuck inside the Forbidden Chamber, one of the alibis we heard would no longer hold any water. The defense would like to call a new witness to the stand. Someone who knew Mr. Filch was stuck in the Forbidden Chamber, and by virtue of knowing this has an alibi that no longer adds up. Ah, not that insufferable. Very well, the court will hear what Mr. Justice has to say. Whose alibi no longer adds up? That would be the Joker Pans.
Take that!
Why, that's the defendant's aide, Florent LaBelle. Didn't he claim to be in the foyer at the time of the crime? True, but in his alibi, he also claimed Mr. Filch was in the foyer, too.
When they were watching the thing, right?
Yeah. However, as we all know now, Mr. Filch was not there with Mr. LaBelle at the time. In short, Mr. LaBelle's alibi has disappeared. Arrgh! Florent LaBelle's alibi was one big lie. Isn't that right, Mr. Filch? I reckon there ain't no keeping that cat in the bag here neither. It was all Mr. LaBelle's idea. He told me he'd button his lip about me breaking into the Forbidden Chamber, and in return he said he'd vouch for each other's alibi. We'd vouch. Shame on you, Mr. Filch. Perjury's a serious crime, you know. Aw, shucks. Mercy, your honorship, mercy! Ah! I also assert that the person who opened the Forbidden Chamber for Mr. Filch was none other than Florent Lebel. After all, his alibi has just been proven to be a complete fabrication. I see. We will take a 20-minute recess, after which time we will see what Mr. Lebel has to say for himself. Yes, we're finally going to drag that slippery snake onto the stand. In the meantime, the prosecution will question Mr. Lebel about these new allegations. We did it, Apollo. We finally dragged Mr. Lebel into court. Yeah. Hey, why the long face? I can't help but feel I'm missing something important. Plus, Prosecutor Blackpool's bound to mount a counterattack. You really are a worrywart, aren't you? It'll be fine. That mystery figure who opened the Forbidden Chamber for Mr. Filch had to have been Florent Lebel. I know, but that's not what's bugging me. I wish I could put my finger on it, though. At any rate, the big showdown with Mr. Lebel is up next, so chin up, Apollo. This foreshadowing, what are we missing exactly? Because to me, it seems like the only thing we don't really know is the exact motive of Lebel. Like, all the specifics.
Yeah, and there's some stuff that still makes the mayor look bad. He swallowed the key.
Right.
For saying he wasn't there, and he admitted to doing it.
I wonder if Blackwell has any kind of evidence as to that confession, which he made to us,
yeah, well,
or made to her.
Jinxie said that she didn't tell him.
Yeah, but I wonder if there was some other way. And yeah, why was he not there when he was clearly there when we came? So, I am curious. Oh my god, his hair's green now! He is the Joker! Court in session, our next witness is... Yes. Very important matter. It seems the witness is predisposed at the moment. Ah ha ha ha. Surely you jest. I will hold you to your promise, remember that. Oh, my deepest apologies. This is Florent Lebel, personal aide to Mayor Tenma, or should I say, the accused. Ouch, like the poor mayor hasn't suffered enough. Well, what business do you have with me? I'm a very busy man, so let's make this as brief as possible. Your baldness. Ah, right. Mr. Filch's testimony has revealed a hole in your alibi, and for this reason, you are suspected of having some sort of connection with the case at hand. To think I'd be associated with this entirely lurid affair. Well, I'm not. So may I go now? I have very important matters to attend to. No, Joker. I don't think so, Mr. Lebel. Do you realize what a serious crime you've committed? Witness, you are being accused of perjury. This is your chance to clear the air. Fine. The truth is I faked my alibi for a very good reason. The mayor was obviously the killer, so I created a fake alibi to confuse the matter. You see, as his personal aide, I felt I had to protect him. Sorry! Ah ha ha ha. You think this is funny? Without your alibi, you're a suspect too. What were you really doing at the time of the crime?
Ooh.
As in, how dare you accuse me, one of the beautiful people, of being... Stop stalling and tell the court what you were really doing at the time of the crime. Enough jabbering. Swords have been drawn. The time for talk is past. Swords? What swords? This is a duel to the death. The fate of the accused rests in our hands. Begone, ye of cowardly heart. The battlefield hath no place for ye. It broke again. Again? Oh my. Spare me, please. So much for sturdier shackles. Ah! Those chains hindered my vow that heads would roll this day. This gives keeping your head on in court a whole new meaning. Will the witness please deliver the accused death knell? You know of what I speak. Ha 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 ha! Most certainly. His goose is already cooked. Time to stick a fork in him. Whatever he has to say can't be good. As I told Prosecutor Blackwell during the recess, I rushed right over to the Fox chamber when I heard little Jinxie scream. What? Then, drumroll please, I saw Mayor Tenma opening the forbidden chamber doors. But there you have it. The mystery man who opened the chamber door, as witnessed by one Phineas Filch, was the accused. There was never any third party. Oh, and that's not all. I heard something quite startling there at the scene of the crime. Startling sounds bad. Oh, the confession. The mayor, who was barely conscious, muttered this. Forgive me, Jinxie, I killed the alderman. That's right, the mayor actually confessed to the murder right then and there. He confessed? So that's how they played the confession angle. It's that he heard it. And I think he probably did hear it because he was there, which will break him for. This is quite conclusive testimony if it stands. Just so, and quite astonishing, I might add. I only learned of this fact during the recess. Ha ha ha! I just love surprises, don't you? That's why I saved the best for last. Consider it a gift from me to you. No way. I don't believe Mr. LaBelle heard the mayor confess. I believe he did. But is this really true? Did Mayor Tenma really confess? It is indeed. During that last recess, I confirmed it with the mayor's daughter. It would seem Mr. Mayor Tenma actually did confess. That testimony is quite favorable to the prosecution's... This is LaBelle. Yes, I called earlier about the party reservations. That's right, and I'll be calling my little shindig Mayor Tenma's Conviction Gala. A splendid time is guaranteed for all but the mayor and his defense. Ha 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 ha. Well, as it seems our witness is a very busy man, let's get right to his testimony. Mr. LaBelle, please tell us what you saw when you came upon the scene of the crime. I'm going to get some water. If you could just read the witness testimony loud enough for me.
What do I push next?
Just press the X button.
Okay. What LaBelle saw. I was in the hallway, hiding in the shadows. That's when I heard the confession. Upon learning of her father's crime, little Jinxie fled without ever noticing me. Immediately after that, the mayor stood up, opened the forbidden chamber. As I ran in terror, the demon emerged from his prison. In shock, I fled down the hallway to my right, to the one with the phone at the end.
I like that you kept that going.
I don't like him. And once again, I tell you that I don't know why this game likes to put bad people in purple. Purple's my favorite color.
I know, it's ruining your favorite color.
It's ruining it. Okay. I didn't do that.
I gotta say, though, I like how he literally is the Joker now. It's literally the Joker green. That's the shade as far as I'm concerned. This is a shocking revelation. Quite unexpected to think the defendant actually confessed then and there to his crime. Perhaps the guilt was too much to bear, so he confided in his daughter.
What if he's saying I killed him because he agreed to do the merger and it made people mad? Like he feels responsible for the death, not that he actually physically killed him.
Right. Like means something else kind of thing. You do realize you should not have withheld such crucial testimony from the court. Ah ha ha ha. Once again, sorry. It's just, I feared being accused if I mentioned coming upon the most unpleasant scene. Or why did the mayor's confession have to be brought up by this guy? We better do something before the judge declares the mayor guilty. As a death row inmate once told me in years gone by, there is a time to fight, and a time to yield, a time to live, and a time to die. Arr, he's laying it on real thick now. The defense may now cross-examine the witness. Oh, I cannot wait till he starts to get angrier. Oh, let's get him. I was in the hallway, hiding in the shadows. That's when I heard the confession. Alright, so impressive. You claim that the mayor confessed to his daughter. Are you sure about that? Peasant, you wouldn't dare ask such a question if you truly understood. True beauty is never wrong. It's not? No, beauty is carved deep in the DNA. That means I am programmed to always be right, even when I'm wrong. I'm not following.
Yeah, me neither.
These exquisite ears are like flowers abloom. These eyes that shine like pearls. This hair like the finest silk. Nothing can corrupt the truth they hold. Right. The witness will hurry up and explain this truth of his. Specifically, what did Jinxie Tenma do upon hearing the confession? Upon learning of her father's crime, little Jinxie fled without ever noticing me.
Hold it!
How did Miss Tenma appear to you? Oh, the poor little thing seemed positively heartbroken, all teary-eyed and whatnot. I couldn't help but shed a few tears myself after seeing her like that. He actually sympathized with Jinxie. Seems like an overly human emotion for him. Yeah, because he's the only real monster we've seen so far, in looks and in character. The next thing I did was check my face in the mirror. Check your face? Why? To behold the beauty that is my sadness, why else? Apollo, I'm starting to lose all faith in humanity. I know the feeling, but hang in there. At least keep faith in our client. Let's keep this moving, shall we? So what happened next? Immediately after that, the mayor came to, stood up, and opened the forbidden chamber.
Hold it!
He opened the forbidden chamber, but why would he do that? Who knows? Maybe he wanted to free the demon Tenmataro? The courtroom is no place for fairy tales. Remember, you are under oath. Hello, LaBelle speaking. Yes, I will certainly explore the matter. Toodles! Now, where were we again? You were going to tell us the real reason why the mayor opened the forbidden chamber. Oh yes, of course. Hello, this is LaBelle. Ah, ha ha ha, good one, sir. You are an absolute riot. Okay, bye. You were saying? Never mind. This is a waste of time. He's just going to tell more lies. The witness will focus on his testimony, not his phone calls. Now tell the court what you did after you saw the mayor open the forbidden chamber. Well, after that, as I ran in terror, the demon emerged from his prison.
Hold it!
What was Mr. Filch like at the time? He was shouting, I can't see, it's the curse of Tenmataro. Then he took off running like a madman. He must have been blinded by the sudden light flooding in. Wrong. What? He set eyes upon me, and was thus blinded by my radiant beauty.
Guys, something else, huh?
I know. So it was the curse of Florin LaBelle rather than Tenmataro. Yes, I'm afraid such beauty can be a curse. It's almost criminal. The only thing criminal here is your ceaseless jabbering. Now get on with your testimony. Oh, forgive me, your darkness. Let's see. Oh yes, I fled for dear life from Tenmataro and... In shock, I fled down the hallway to my right, to the one with the phone at the end. Why is he emphasizing phone? Like...
His phone's on both shoulders. Why would he need to run to a phone?
That's also what I'm wondering. So after you fled into the hallway with the phone at the end, Tenmataro ran off toward the foyer. Precisely. Notice any inconsistencies, Apollo? Well, Jinxie also saw Tenmataro, right? She did. She said they passed each other in the hall after she made that call to the police. Well, if Belle had fled down the hall where the phone is, Jinxie would have seen him when she was returning from making her call. Oh, right. And if she saw him, she would have definitely asked him for help. Right, it just doesn't make any sense. Time to review the evidence. If we don't find some way to poke a hole in his testimony, Mayor Tenma's as good as guilty. Well, I guess... if he said he went to the phone. This contradicts Jinxie's testimony that she saw Tenma Taro there.
Yeah, so it's the diagram.
It's either the diagram, or do we actually have, like, her statement that it happened? Yeah, she gave a statement. And she called the police. So why didn't she see him?
Okay.
Let's try it.
Objection!
Lauren LaBelle, you're lying about having witnessed these events from the hallway. Ha 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 ha! What on earth do you mean? Yes, care to fill the rest of us in, Mr. Justice? If Mr. LaBelle had really fled into the hall with a phone in it, he would have crossed paths with Miss Tenma. What's this? After she discovered the crime scene, she immediately went to call the police. Then, after making her call, she went back to the main hallway, whereupon she encountered the demon yokai, or whatever you want to call it. As for me, I call it Phineas Filch in a Tenma Taro costume. The encounter happened right here where the hallways meet. As for Mr. LaBelle, if he had fled here, feigning escape from the yokai imposter, why yes, the two would have crossed paths. Right, except Miss Tenma told us that there was no one else in the hall. In short, Miss Tenma did not see you in the hall because you were never really there. Ah!
What happened?
My eyes! My beautiful eyes!
Perfume sprayed into his eye?
He sprayed the cologne in his eyes! Huh, not such a fabulous thing now, is it? Wow, a little sassy, Apollo. But Mr. Justice, the witness also stated that he heard the mayor confess. If he was lying about hearing the confession from the hall, then where was he when he heard it? Inside the Fox chamber, where else? But isn't that within the very crime scene? It is, Your Honor, and that means he's not really a witness. Rather, he's the third party I've been alleging this whole time. What? You think I'm the killer? How dare you?
Silence!
Foolish fop. A true man knows when he is beaten. A shield of lies comes to naught before a foe with the sword of truth bared. Prosecutor Blackhill, what are you? I thought we were on the same side. You are mistaken. There are no sides here save for my cold, steely edge of judgment. You are alone upon this battlefield, with naught but your lies and sickly sweet perfume. Whoa, what just happened? Blackhill's really tearing into him. You heard the mayor's confession from the inside, did you not, you deviant dandy? For the sole location from which you could have seen and heard the mayor and the Tanuki, without either of them noticing you were right there in the Fox chamber. Oh my. So that's how it's going to be. Fine, I'll come clean then. Seriously? You admit to being there in the Fox chamber? I do. I did enter the room after the murder, but I was afraid of being falsely accused, so I lied about it. I feel terrible about lying like that, but it's a verbal cologne I use to protect myself. You'd better explain yourself, Mr. LaBelle. Yes, of course, I was just about to get to that. The witness is skating on thin ice. I'll remind you that perjury is a very serious crime. Now let's hear your testimony again, this time without your perfume of lies. Oh dear. I did enter the Fox chamber after the murder, but I didn't enter until after Jinxie had heard the confession and left. I heard the mayor groan and hid behind the folding screen there. What I saw there up close, it was absolutely horrifying. But you see, I was there, but merely watching from behind the screen. From behind the screen? Why yes, I believe he wouldn't be spotted if you were there. Just so he could see everything without being spotted by the victim or that Tanuki Filch. Suffice to say, he was a mere witness to the events rather than an actual third party. This guy's as slippery as an eel. Apollo, you think he's telling the truth? Well, he was in the Fox chamber, so at least that must be true. The defense may cross-examine our slightly voyeuristic witness. Why didn't you enter right away? And ruin my designer shoes? Your shoes? Even now, just thinking about getting blood on my fabulous footwear, it sends chills down my spine. That's why I hesitated. That's terrible. A man was dying and another injured, and you're worried about your shoes? Need I remind you, this is a court of law. We are not teaching morality here. We have schools of etiquette and the like for such trivial pursuits. Gah. Now, you listen to me, you deceptive dandy. Get to the point and be quick about it. Yes, well, I was there in the Fox Chamber, but I heard the mayor groan and hid behind the folding screen there. Wait a second. Why did you hide yourself? Oh my, so you do understand. I do? By hiding, I was concealing my fabulous booty, which for the sake of the universe is something I should never, ever do. That's what you were thinking, right? I'm sensing a black hole of egocentricity forming around the witness stand. We can deliberate his mental prowess another time. Get on with the testimony, now. Well, regarding the murder scene, what I saw there up close, it was absolutely horrifying. Could you describe the crime scene in a bit more detail? And what exactly would you like details about? Well, what I'd like to ask you about is the feathers and tracks, the forbidden chamber, the murder weapon. I would like to know about all of them, but...
Feathers and tracks and the murder weapon probably the most.
Yeah, especially since the feathers and tracks were there after the murder.
Okay.
What do you remember about the yokai feathers and tracks? They resulted when Tenmataro exited the Forbidden Chamber. He came out in quite a rush, gathering feathers this way and that. Did you immediately know it was Mr. Filch? I did, and that's why I suggested we cook up our alibis together. And how did those practice sessions go? They were nearly the death of me. Filchy has to be the worst student ever. He really doesn't think he's done anything wrong, does he? Well, Mr. Justice, do you consider his statement to be of any importance? Is it important? What he said didn't seem important?
I mean, it's kind of important because it backs up Jinxie's statement that they weren't originally there. Right.
Well, let's just say very important just to see what he does when he adds it to the testimony. The yokai feathers and tracks weren't there before the Fox Chamber was opened.
Hold it!
They were left there by Mr. Filch, weren't they? They were, indeed, and it was quite a shock when I saw that yokai. I can't imagine how terrifying it must have been to see this face emerging from the darkness. Okay, so he's not even reality TV grade handsome. Can we move on now? Apollo, you think that statement's important? I don't think there's anything particularly unusual there, so let's keep going. Okay. We'll press him, but then we'll ask him to talk about something else. The mayor had been knocked out by a blow to the head. Could he really have opened the Forbidden Chamber in that state? Well, it did seem difficult. He was all woozy and stumbling around as he opened it. It was such a heroic effort that I nearly started to cheer him on despite myself. I think the mayor needed medical attention more than a cheerleader. You think he's telling the truth about being there in that room? Well, I believe he was there. The question is, when did he enter? You mean, did he enter after Jinxie fled? Or was he there before the murder? If it's the latter, that would change everything. Right, if he was there before the murder, that would make him a suspect. But how do we go about proving that? Well, I guess we asked him about what happened there. Anyway, let's press him and see what kind of info we can extract. Let's cross our fingers that he says or reveals something incriminating.
Hold it!
Let's see, so... You said the murder weapon was the other thing you wanted to know? Could you describe the state of the weapons that had been used at the scene? The spear had been thrust all the way through Alderman Cubey, Then there was that statue the alderman used to bludgeon Mayor Tenma. That incredibly inspiring symbol had fallen to the floor. Oh right, the statue. But why would he find that inspiring? Why exactly did you find the statue inspiring? Ah ha ha ha. Well, when I saw that statue, I felt as if the merger had been realized. It was like a celebration of union between town and village, an inspiring symbol of goodwill. A broken statue next to a bloody corpse. Real inspiring. Well, Mr. Justice, do you consider a statement to be any importance? I think it is. I believe that to be extremely important. I request that it be added to the testimony. A statue had fallen to the floor. It was a token of goodwill celebrating the municipal merger. Let me see what we have written about this. The statue had traces of blood from the defendant Damien Tenma on it. It was apparently wrapped in a large cloth on which the defendant's blood was also found. No fingerprints could be lifted from the cloth. So, here's the thing. When he saw it, it shouldn't have been a token of goodwill because that thing wasn't there, because it looks like they're fighting when it's not there. So I think the key is, he was the one who bashed him on the head. He saw it when the cup was still on it. But if you're coming in after all that happened, then all you're seeing is what looks to be two things fighting.
Objection!
Your lies have finally betrayed you, Mr. LaBelle. What possibly could you mean? You said the statue was like a celebration of union between town and village? Isn't that correct? It is indeed, but what of it? The two yokai are joining hands in goodwill, as if they were celebrating the municipal merger. Something the matter? So how did you really know that this statue was meant to be a symbol of goodwill again? What? Justice Dono, explain yourself and make it quick. This statue was meant to symbolize goodwill in its original form, but that was a secret. A secret? Whatever do you mean? What I mean is that it broke when someone used it to strike Mayor Tenma on the head. What's left clearly makes it look like the two yokai are battling it out. Eep. The statue's secret and its true form were lost inside that locked room, for Miss Tenma is the only living soul who should know what it once looked like. So, Mr. LaBelle, where could you have possibly seen the statue in its original form? What do you mean, where? The only possible answer is this. You saw the statue in its original form. Right there in the room where the alderman was murdered before it was broken. How dare you? Mr. Justice, are you accusing the witness with some sort of crime? Yes, I am. Florin LaBelle, I accuse you of the murder of Alderman Rex Cuby. Ah! Order, Mr. LaBelle. You've been accused of murder. Do you have anything to say in your defense? How could you possibly accuse me, the embodiment of beauty? Way to go, Apollo. This is the conclusive evidence we needed. Magnifico. We've got you now. We know you killed the alderman. Now admit it. He doesn't even say objection. Enough of your silly games, Justice Dono. This prancing peacock could not possibly be the killer. What are you talking about? His alibi has already crumbled to dust. And I just proved that he was in the Fox chamber when it was still locked tight. Why could he have not seen the statue in its true form before the murder? After all, he was close friends with the alderman. Ergo... Yes, that's right. I clearly remember it now. Alderman Cuby told me about it. About what the statue actually looked like. I mean, he was a good friend of mine. Ha ha ha.
Objection!
Yeah, right. He wouldn't show you a secret gift just like that. Moreover, it has already been proven that he was not present at the scene of the crime. It has? Forgotten, have we? Recall the little scamp's statement, if you will. When Jixie Tenma unlocked the Fox chamber, she saw the alderman and the mayor collapse therein, and no one else.
Because he was hiding behind the screen.
Which he just admitted to.
I know.
The The fact is, it was you two who made that apparent in yesterday's court session. Thus, Flora and LaBelle could not have possibly been in that locked room. No. I just don't get it. How could Jinxie not have seen LaBelle? The proof is incontrovertible. No room for debate exists. Am I not right, your baldness? It does seem awfully conclusive. The facts point to the defendant and victim being the only people in that locked room. Moreover, the defendant has already confessed.
Silence!
I can't do that.
You just did.
You cannot defend the indefensible. Your role in this charade is over, Justice Dono. But, your baldness, this trial would last an eternity if we were to keep crossing blades with these simpletons. It is high time you brought down the hammer of justice. A point well made. I believe it's time to declare a verdict. This court finds the defendant, Damien Tenma.
Is it Ace or is it?
It's him. Caw! It would seem that my time is at hand. Mayor Tenma? Counselor, there is a matter to which I must testify. I recall it now only for your good graces. Counselor? Oh, right. Bailiff, don't just stand there, seize him. It's no good, I can't restrain him. Caw, know me in despair, for I am Tenma Taro, Demon Lord of the... Mr. Justice, do something. Since when am I responsible for court security? Apollo, this is our chance. We might get some new information out of him. Your Honor, seeing as our client has something new to say, I believe due process demands that we hear him out, even if he is a yokai. When you put it that way. Still, I believe testimony by a yokai is unprecedented in the legal world. Unprecedented and absurdity, more like. All right then, Mr. Damien Tenma, or should I say Mr. Tenma Taro, your testimony, please. I shall now speak of recollections most real, courtesy of my host, Damien Tenma. Heed these words, mortals, for hear them but once you shall. Caw. Would you like to stop here? You seem tired.
I am getting tired. I don't know if you want to finish him or if you want to come back to him.
I mean, I'd love to finish him, but if you're really tired, I feel like you won't enjoy it with me.
How long do you think it'll take to do him?
I don't know, because I don't know. I mean, let's hear his testimony, I guess. But,
okay.
Here. Well, it is Allegro now, at least. Barely conscious was Damien there amid the darkness. Suddenly, two yokai did appear. On one side, I, Tenma Taro, ruler of demonkind, and on the other, my mortal enemy, the nine-tailed fox. What? So was the defendant asserting that the room he was in was very dark at the time? Strange as it may be, yes indeed, all was in darkness. And the part about Tenma Taro and the nine-tailed fox being there? Yes, that too. Tenma Taro towered overhead, and the nine-tailed fox glittered gold. I call animal abuse, Your Honor. It would seem the defendant's recollections are not to be trusted. Yes, well, truth be told, my host's recollections are still a bit fuzzy, as if half-dreamt that happening lingers in his mind. Apollo, maybe I can help here. Really? Oh, you mean... Yeah, I can hear the discord in his heart. I sense an unusual emotion in the mayor's memory of the event. Okay, I just hope our findings don't come back to haunt us again. Barely conscious was Damien there amid the darkness. Suddenly, two yokai did appear.
To his surprise.
One side, I, Tenma Taro, ruler of demonkind. And on the other, my mortal enemy, the nine-tailed fox, and he's happy about that. It sounds like the mayor saw the same thing as what's shown on that scroll. What's with these Tenmas and their yokai vision? I think it's sweet how father and daughter can share something like that. I don't think a shared nightmare really qualifies as sweet. Anyway, all I need to do is point out an unnatural reaction like last time. Right, look for places where an emotion conflicts with the testimony. That conflict usually indicates a thought or emotion that is being suppressed.
He was happy when he saw them.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense.
Got it!
When the nine-tailed fox appeared, you not only experienced shock and sadness, but also something like joy as well? Joy? Perhaps it was joy at the light coming to my eyes at long last. A long, terrible creaking did pierce the silence, and then there was light. On reflection, it was a door that did produce that infernal racket. A creaking door. And we know what door that is. Oh, you must be talking about the Forbidden Chamber door. It does make a lot of noise. So this means the Forbidden Chamber really was opened. What about the sudden light he described? I think I know. He mentioned darkness and Tenmataro towering overhead. Maybe the mayor wasn't really in the Fox Chamber at the time of the crime. Mr. Mayor, did the darkness that you were in happen to be here?
The Forbidden Chamber?
Well, let's see. I guess so.
Take that!
The Forbidden Chamber? Was it not the Fox Chamber where the murder did occur? Yes, but it all makes sense if you were in the Forbidden Chamber. The terrible creaking sound was probably the Forbidden Chamber's door opening. And the towering Tenmataro you saw, most likely the Forbidden Chamber statue. Why, yes! That would explain it. The darkness and the staff and the demon's grasp. But even if all that's true, then what about the nine-tailed fox? Maybe he was seeing things, just like Jinxie and her imaginary yokai. Fantastico, Apollo, it's entirely possible. In a groggy, dreamlike state, people can misremember things and events. Misremember, you say? Let me think. I do believe I remember now. That was not the nine-tailed fox. It was the Amazing Nine-Tails. What? The Amazing Nine-Tails? At first, this was but a dream, I thought. Now, however, most clearly do I recall it. It was the Amazing Nine-Tails who did open the Forbidden Chamber's door. 60%. I'm sorry I asked. The Amazing Nine-Tails, but that was the victim, Alderman Cubey, right? Yeah, why would he open the Forbidden Chamber? Wasn't he trying to keep it sealed? Never mind that. This is completely new information. Let me enter it and run an update. Barely conscious. Amid the darkness, a mighty statue of Tenmataro loomed. Suddenly the door did open, and a shaft of light did pierce the gloom. The Amazing Nine-Tails had come to the rescue. So why does he seem sad about it? What do you suppose the Amazing Nine-Tails was up to? Good question. Could he have been trying to free the mayor from the Forbidden Chamber? But why help an enemy like that? Wasn't he opposed to the mayor's merger plan? Well, at least now we know why the room suddenly lit up. Must have been a huge relief for the mayor. I mean, just thinking about being trapped in that pitch-black room freaks me out. When the Amazing Nine-Tails opened the chamber, banishing the darkness within, you felt joy, but didn't you also feel shock and sadness? Yes, in the hazy depths of my mind I do recollect something of that nature. I believe it was the fiend's cape of red. For when I did behold it, a great wave of sadness did inexplicably wash over me. A cape of red? Apollo, we've reduced the noise level. Oh, but there's still a little left. Mayor Tenma, why were you sad when you saw the red cape? Why indeed? What could this mean? I guess his memory is still a little spotty. I know because his latest recollection contradicts the evidence. Yeah, it's one of those contradictions that slaps you right across the face. Something this obvious could arise when someone is trying to force a fuzzy memory into definitive shape. Apollo, I know what you have to do. You need to present evidence that contradicts the image you see. Oh, so it's basically the same as the usual cross-examination process. Okay, time to review the evidence. Look out, contradictions. Here comes justice. Well, he doesn't wear a red cape.
It's the blood on the floor.
Yeah, I think so. I think this is what we want to use to contradict.
Objection!
And then we can probably analyze that it's the blood. You said the Amazing Ninetales cape was red. Are you sure about that? Yes, well, I do believe it was a red cape I saw, but... Mayor Tenma? Does this cape look red to you? Oh, that certainly does not look red, not even scarlet or crimson either. Nevertheless, upon my liberation, something red did fill my as-yet hazy field of view. And I thought to myself, the Amazing Ninetales is arrayed in a cape of red. So you mistook that red something for his cape, huh? Apparently so, and remembering it now brings a great sadness upon me. So the red something probably wasn't a cape after all. Maybe that great sadness he mentioned is what's interfering with his memory. Well, he would have seen the fox chamber behind the Amazing Ninetales. What red object could he have seen there that would have been so shocking? I know, could it have been? Mr. Mayor, was the red thing you saw this?
Take that!
Something red that could produce a deep sadness. Could it be, Mr. Tenma, that what you saw was the alderman's blood? Blood? Why, yes, it was blood. Arrgh! Oh, It's all coming back to me now. It wasn't a red cape that I saw. It was lying behind the Amazing Ninetales, the alderman's bloody body. Eek! His noise level is down to 0. I think he's remembered everything now. Does this mean the Amazing Ninetales killed Alderman QB? But the Alderman was the Amazing Ninetales, so how exactly would that work? Hey, I asked you first. Well, Mr. Justice, you sure know how to make a complicated matter even more complicated. True, but at the time of the crime, our client was in the Forbidden Chamber.
Silence.
Moreover... Hoy, don't you think this strange? The little scamp has already confirmed her father to be in the Fox Chamber. But she said not about seeing the Amazing Ninetales there. You just had to bring that up, didn't you? Jinxie didn't see LaBelle there either. It's so weird. Who really was in that room then? Would the defense care to share any theories with the court? Can you explain the inconsistency between the defendant's testimony and his daughter's?
Yes, I can. Joker dipshit had on the mask. What?
What? You've been so PG. Why did you let that slip out?
I'm getting tired, so I think...
So we can just show the mask then?
I think so.
Of course I can explain it, because if I don't, we're in serious trouble. Now with more of your bluffs and fairy tales, I trust? Fair warning, Justice Dono, I shall have your head if you fail to explain this. Eep! What about a good old-fashioned penalty? Well, Mr. Justice, let's see if you have a head worth keeping on your shoulders. First of all, Mr. LaBelle was definitely in the Fox Chamber while it was locked. We also know that Mayor Tenma was in the Forbidden Chamber based on his testimony. These two facts are crucial to my explanation. Now, let us consider the following question. If the facts point to Florent LaBelle and the victim being there at the scene, why did Jinxie Tenma see the victim and her father, Mayor Tenma? A very good question indeed, and I suppose you have an answer for us? Sadly, you would be supposing wrong. You think she could have mistaken LaBelle for the mayor? Well, if she did, then the question is, why did she do that? Well, how about the explanation, Mr. Justice? I believe the time for questions is over. The defense asserts that Florent LaBelle was at the scene of the crime. However, Jinxie Tenma has testified that she saw her father collapse there. If she has in fact misremembered the event, what could have made her do so? LaBelle was disguised as Tenma? Really? I don't think that would make any sense. But I don't think she got the rooms mixed up.
Was she misunderstood? I think LaBelle was disguised as Alderman.
That's what I thought too. Because we got the mask.
Could she have just been confused?
I think it's because he was disguised. The figure Miss Tenma saw was not her father. It was Florent Labelle disguised as Damien Tenma. That is a complete impossibility. Their faces are utterly unalike. How could you explain that away with a mere disguise? Yes, they both do have incredibly distinctive faces. Maybe the disguise completely hid his face. I think Jinxie would have mentioned if she couldn't see her father's face. And if it was that sort of disguise, wouldn't she have removed it? Oh, right. Your sword is as dull as your mind, Justice Dono. Shall I show you what a truly sharp blade is capable of? Ah ha ha, I think I'll pass. Ah! Ah! Are you okay, Apollo? I'm not fine, am I? Well, now that we have that little fairy tale out of the way, your baldness reverts, if you will. Mr. Justice, I believe it's time for a verdict if you have no further arguments. What's even left for me to do? I wonder if we would have gotten that for any of the three. Apollo, remember what Mr. Wright always says. When you're stuck in a tight spot, turn the case upside down. Turn the case upside down? He does say that, doesn't he? But I don't quite see how it applies here. Still, never hurts to give it a try, I guess. Let's see. Rather than Jinxie didn't remove the disguise, maybe she couldn't remove it. And rather than she didn't tell anyone about the disguise, maybe it was she couldn't talk about it. A wrestler's mask is more precious than his own life. He'd never unmask himself in front of others, but there are matches where wrestlers battle for the right to remove each other's masks. To have your mask turn off is the worst humiliation a wrestler could suffer. That's why their masks are more important to them than life itself. And what about the fact that it was the amazing Nine Tails who opened the door? A mask that can't be removed in front of others. Can these facts turn things around? Ah! We got it all backwards. Apollo? I think we might have made a huge mistake. Your baldness, I see no need to further indulge them in their silly little farce. The defense has no proof, they never did and they never will. Then it seems... I do have proof. Do you now? Alright, but this better be good, Mr. Justice. We can solve the remaining riddles by turning all of our assumptions upside down. Why Jinxie Tenma mistook Mr. Labelle for her father, why she couldn't remove the costume or tell anyone about it in the first place. These riddles are inextricably linked to Mayor Tenma's secret identity. A shocking secret identity that will turn the entire premise of this case upside down. This piece of evidence clearly reveals Mayor Tenma's secret identity. So is he saying then that Tenma is actually the nine-tailed fox?
Yes.
I think that's what he's saying. We are both in agreement. Yeah! What absolute claptrap, poppycock, balderdash! We thought the alderman was the amazing Nine Tails and the mayor was Tenma Taro. That's why we believed the mayor killed the alderman in his lust for Nine Tails' veil, and it was the basis for the prosecution's entire case against our client. However, we got the whole thing backwards. Mayor Tenma wasn't Tenma Taro at all. He was the amazing Nine Tails. Whoa, what's this? You'd best explain yourself, Justice Dono, and from where you derive such a far-fetched conclusion. Jinxie, no doubt, knew the true identity of the amazing Nine Tails, but she couldn't tell anyone no matter what. That's why she didn't say it was the amazing Nine Tails she saw passed out, even though, unbeknownst to her, it was really Florent Labelle in disguise.
Silence.
The accused and that deceitful dandy are utterly dissimilar in physical build and voice. The little scamp would have seen the difference. Remember, Mr. Labelle had his very own brand of cosmetics. Why couldn't he fake a different build too? And anyone speaking through a mask can naturally sound different. Why did she not simply pull the mask off? A masked wrestler's disguise is more precious than life itself. As a huge fan of the amazing Nine Tails, she would never dare unmask him. Ah! This case of mistaken identity also explains the riddle of the locked room. Then by all means, Mr. Justice, answer it for us already. First, Mr. LaBelle's entered the room where the mayor and aldermen were talking. I suspect he brought with him coffee laced with some sort of sedative. Once the alderman was out cold, that's when Mr. LaBelle killed him. Next, he took the mayor, who he had also drugged, into the Forbidden Chamber. Then he returned to the Fox Chamber, slipped into some of the mayor's spare clothes, and completed the disguise by donning the Amazing Ninetales mask. With his entire charade in place, Mr. LaBelle then let out a scream. The scream that led Jinxie Tenma to the scene. Ah, so then, the person who said I killed Alderman QB was... Yep, that was Florent LaBelle in disguise. The mayor never actually confessed. This is no more than guesswork and speculation. Now stop your jabbering and... No, you twisted samurai. Oh, we're fighting back. This time you stop your jabbering and let me finish making my case. Once Miss Tenma left the scene, Mr. LaBelle, still wearing the mayor's clothes and mask, opened the Forbidden Chamber so he could drag the mayor back out into the Fox Chamber. Oh, the Amazing Ninetales the mayor saw was... Right, it was LaBelle opening the Forbidden Chamber. The second time Mr. LaBelle opened the door to the Forbidden Chamber, he happened to cast the thieving Mr. Filch by surprise. Startled, Mr. Filch in his Tenma Taro disguise ran as fast as he could away from the room. As he did, he left behind a trail of feathers and tracks, and gave Miss Tenma the scare of her life in the hallway. With no one left to witness the events that had occurred, Mr. LaBelle then proceeded to drag the sleeping mayor back into the Fox Chamber.
It's really involved.
It is involved.
Like, it's a lot of work to frame somebody.
Well, I mean, the case has been going so bad for us, for most of it, that it just about worked. Well, it all certainly does make sense. Then after dragging the mayor back into the Fox Chamber, Mr. LaBelle threw the mask out the window and fled the room. For this absurd theory to work, it requires that the defendant be the Amazing Ninetales. However, he was the one pushing for the municipal merger. That such an individual could possibly be the Amazing Ninetales is preposterous. The mayor was blackmailed into pursuing the merger. Miss Tenma's life would have been in danger if he had openly voiced his opposition. That's why he created a secret identity as the Amazing Ninetales. This is madness! No one could possibly hatch such an insane plot. No one except the killer as insane as his plot, and I'd say Florent LaBelle more than qualifies. Foolish mortal, it is at your own peril that you forget who I am. Mayor Tenma, it's okay now. Jinxie will be safe just as soon as Mr. LaBelle is arrested. You are the Amazing Ninetales, aren't you? I thought so. What the? He's back in blonde? Ah ha ha ha, you have quite the active imagination. Mayor Tenma is not the Amazing Ninetales. What do you mean? Well, has the mayor admitted to it yet? But that just... And even if he did admit to such nonsense, I would reveal the truth behind Tenma Taro right here and now. What? Why, you would dare reveal the secret? Ah ha ha ha! My good friend the alderman told me all about it. But it wouldn't be good to expose the truth, what with the superstitions now, would it? The truth behind Tenma Taro? What's he talking about? So go ahead, say it. Say, I am the Amazing Ninetales. I dare you. Arr. Wait, will somebody please explain what's going on here? Mayor Tenma will do anything to keep the truth behind Tenma Taro a secret. A dark, terrible truth that has been kept secret by the village superstitions. And if the mayor admits to being the Amazing Ninetales, you'll expose the truth. Right, I won't have him walking free because of some nonsense you made up. So what now, Justice Dono? Without the mayor's admission, your theory is as useless as you are in battle. I'll show you who's useless. Apollo, don't you dare give up now. I know. Your Honor, I believe Mr. LaBelle's statements warrant a thorough cross-examination, and I think next time we play, I think we will expose him.
Okay.
Because I want you to be 100% there when that happens.
I'm so sleepy.
Yeah, and you've gotten through. I mean, you were here for the last, 5-10 minutes, but yeah, I'd rather you be 100%. So, as much as I'm actually really interested in this whole thing. I mean, I like that we've kind of been breaking down LaBelle. He's been a hoot in court, honestly, and I like what we're finding out here.
I think he's awful.
He is. I mean, he's a hoot because he's awful and his little mannerisms. But he's a fun villain. I want to see him melt down, but I want you to be there with me. So, we will wait.
Alright, Kitty. Come on, bedtime.